There we go. So this is the database team weekly, 20th of April today. Craig is on PTO this week, so we will dive right into those topics, starting with the intro dev issues. I don't think there's anything new as far as I could see. Is there something that you want to call out, Jose?
Not really. I'm focused on the upgrade at the moment, but I don't see anything new.
Okay, good to know.
Thank you.
All right, then we can dive into those next points. So basically, I think Craig has assigned a lot of the issues to everybody, like the open work that we want to do on the database testing side, and also primary key migrations. If you see those assignments, I think it was meant to be to indicate that this is the work that we have ahead of us. So if you don't feel like picking that up, I think it would also be good to unassign you, so just so that it's clear who's working on what. And we do need to define the work better, especially in database testing. I think we are very much in an MVC kind of state. So I think the immediate next step is that we need to do is really define what we want to work on. And a lot of these issues don't exist yet. So that's something we need to do for sure.
And Alex and Ali, any questions about this? Maybe I don't know, Andreas, have you shared a little bit of background of why we are doing this with Ali and Alex?
Yeah, we were chatting already a bit. We have another meeting scheduled for this week, the three of us, so we can dive into the database testing topic more. And starting from there, I think we should just talk about the next steps that we want to do and get those issues defined and then start working on that.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions you want to ask about database testing at this point? If not, we can just follow up later this week. Cool. Okay. And the other big topic that we have is the primary key migrations. And I would like to make a checkpoint today, sort of seeing where we are at and figuring out what we are focusing on going forward. And I'm not entirely sure when Heinrich is going to be able to join us on that. Krasimir is already picking up work, so he's working on the multi-column support, and I think that is even nearly done as far as I could see. The last MR is in review right now. And this is also what we really need going forward is the multi-column support, because all the tables, the large tables that require this. So once we have that, we have a lot of tables that we can tackle basically. And what I would propose to do is right now we're basically sitting idle with migrations on .com. So that means we have finished I think the 3 migrations that we were running previously. And we don't have something scheduled yet. So right now we're not doing anything. I would recommend we try not to have this because we should use the time wisely that we still have. Right now this is a single threaded process, keeping things simple. And if we use the time wisely, we might not need to make it more complicated later on. So what I'm trying to do is getting 2 tables out and scheduled for that primary key backfill, which isn't working out yet. So appreciate if anybody has time to look into that. But this will be those 2 tables, CI build needs and CI build trace sections, and maybe we can discuss them later in the meeting.
Yeah, circle back. So Andreas, you mentioned that you are not sure when Heinrich will be available. Mm-hmm. Basically, all the 4 engineers should be available this week. So Heinrich should be working on this working group this week. If you have you got a chance to talk to him, or I think
Nope.
Craig talked to him. I'm not quite sure, but if you haven't talked to him, I will try to reach out directly to Heinrich to see when he can pick up the work. I mean, basically, he should be available this week.
Okay, good. I didn't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. I will also reach out to him and we can have a chat. So
yeah, Chris and Heinrich, they're in the same time zone-ish. I mean, they're both in APAC, so they can pair up very nicely to work on this topic. So please reach out to Heinrich.
Okay, yeah, we'll do.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is the multi-column support. This is basically the next step, and then at the same time there is quite a few other tables that we need to address that can be picked up individually. This is like the smaller tables that we need to tackle. So if anybody feels like spending time on that and you want to pick one of these tables, I put a link to the list of tables that we plan to tackle. Yanis maintains that also with the current state of things. And if you want to pick one of these, put your name on that list. And then there is an example, or actually two migration examples. What we're looking for is basically adding a schema change that adds a column, adds triggers. And the second one is scheduling the backfill for those tables. And I put a few of those links in below.
So yeah, I have created most of the issues, not for the satellite tables, so you can check. What we are interested right now is on initializing the migrations. So the idea is that we are starting the migrations. That's the costly part. So you add the column, you add the backfill, you backfill the column, and then it's where you finalize and you swap the columns, add any indexes missing. We are going to wait for that because we want to also build all the other tooling and release those at the same time on self-hosted and GitLab.com. Because the rationale there is we don't want the schema for self-hosted instances to deviate from the canonical schema, from the schema we have in structure.sql or in GitLab.com, because that will cause various issues for us. And it's not only that they will deviate also between all the self-hosted instances, GitLab.com, and new self-hosted instances, because all new self-hosted instances use the structure.sql to build their database, and they will have a different schema from other self-hosted instances. We don't want to do that. So we have a couple of issues I have created. I have not created for all the satellite ones. I think that the canonical implementation now is the one that Andreas has added for CI build needs. How do we call it now? CI.
I just closed the MR in favor of what Krasimir was working on, or what Patrick had prepared. I didn't see that before.
So we can use the same helper now?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the one helper makes it easier.
Yeah. So yeah, then the MR for events should be okay. If it has only one column, it should be okay.
Yeah.
So question. So are we asking? Are we asking also Alex and Ali if they are available to help migrating this table, or is pretty much we are asking Chris and Heinrich to help this migration?
I think
the request.
I think there's a lot of work to do that can be picked up, especially those smaller tables. We know how to do it. We have all the helpers in place. So it's a matter of picking the table up and shipping that migration, basically. If you have time to do that, Alex and Ollie, totally appreciate you picking up that.
Okay.
If you know, but perhaps I think it's good that we sort of have a focus on database testing, and the other group focuses on the primary key migrations in general. But if you feel like spending time on that, it would be greatly appreciated, I think.
Okay. So let me just rephrase. So Ali and Alex, your primary task will be helping the database automation testing task. But if you get free cycles, welcome to help migrating the smaller tables, because we have a mature process, very fixed recipe to do that. So welcome to help that. If you're available, you have other free cycles to pick up some of the smaller tables. And Chris and Heinrich will be mainly working on the migration, including the tooling and the migration of the large tables. But they can help, of course, on automation, but I guess they will probably not be able to. But anyways, yeah, Dennis.
Yeah, so can I propose something? I can create very quickly the canonical issues for starting the migrations for all the tables that we feel safe that can be done. I will add them. I will add them in our build board, and I will label them with 13.12. Whatever is added there means that we can pick it up. And I will add an example there of, that's the MR that we can check. Either way, we will, Andreas or me can review. So the first steps will be, we can do an onboarding there. So I will add issues for all the tables that are ready to be converted.
Yeah,
That would be awesome, Yannis. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Ali and Alex, so basically when you feel comfortable, when you have the free cycle, help pick up, but it's just volunteering based.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Works.
And what I think, so this is this project has many aspects. Like there is GitLab com, which is basically at risk of overflowing at some point with the primary keys. And there is self-hosted, and so I think at the moment we need to pick on what we're focusing on in this project. What I would propose to do at this time is focus on keeping the migrations alive. So make sure that there's always a migration running on GitLab com, basically, because it's going to be taking a lot of time. And the earlier we can get it done, I think the more confident we are also. And we don't have to complicate things in the end, worrying about concurrency and all that.
So we only want to migrate one table at a time?
That's the the implementation right now only supports one process at a time.
Okay.
We have ideas of how to do that concurrently, but it's if we don't need to do that, I think it's much better. So using the time, seeing how far we can get, that's the idea.
So I guess if I were to work on a migration MR right now, and there is already a migration going, we would just, I guess, hold off on merging that MR until the previous migration is done.
No, that is unrelated. You can totally merge it. It's gonna be enqueued, but it's only going to be picked up when it's time, basically. So we can always merge those MRs. It's also good to merge them early because this is a two-step process. One is basically adding a new column and a trigger that basically keeps the old and the new column in sync. And once you have shipped that, basically all the new data that comes into the table doesn't have to be migrated later because it's already in the shape that you want it to be in.
Got it.
And the second phase is the backfill that can also, like I said, can be merged. It will be enqueued, picked up later perhaps, but it's always good to merge those things early.
And because we depend from, if something happens and deployments are blocked, we cannot deploy a migration. So because we need a migration in order to enqueue that backfilling, and we don't care because we serialize everything after we run, it's better. Let's add as many as we feel comfortable to add, and they will stay there and wait for us for our scheduler to pick them and do the backfilling. And we won't depend on, for example, something going south on with deployments, and we're not able to deploy more migrations.
Right.
And with respect to queuing, that's what happens right now also. So our background migrations right now, everybody merges background migration. It's not like we are doing it all the time, but we can let 10 different developers merge 10 MRs with background migrations. They are serialized in the sidekick queue. With this new framework, we just serialize them in our scheduler.
Yeah. Okay. I think both Andreas and Yannis made it clear that we always want some migration work is cranking. We always want the system is cranking on the migrations. And there is a recipe to do that. Yannis will be the contact point if you have question. And of course, this is important because we're racing against our headroom, the primary key, moving it from int to big int. So it's also tracked in our daily .com daily stability stand up. So we have a risk there. It's absolutely going to be a disaster if we don't do that before we hit the wall.
Exactly, yeah.
Can I ask a question? Does everyone has access to a production replica? Okay, that's great. Because that's important now that we're going to work on all those aspects on the database. For example, it will be a nice thing. You can use the replica to check the progress of the migrations and various other stuff. And I will add some links on how to monitor.
Yeah, if you discover you don't have a permission to access anywhere, add an access request issue, ping me. I will get it going as soon as possible.
Okay, and then let's make a checkpoint perhaps next week or in beginning of May, and check what we still need to get into the release so that things are also happening on self-hosted. But right now, I would rather focus on filling up a pipeline for the migrations as good as we can, and then go to the self-hosted area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on primary key migrations?
With respect to webhook logs, just an update. All the migrations for the webhook logs, we are addressing it in a different way. So we are not only converting the primary key, we are partitioning the table because it had other issues as well. And at the same time, we're converting the primary key. And all the migrations of step 3 was adding indexes and foreign keys, made it for 13.11. That's great for us. That means that in this milestone, we're going to swap the tables now. So this is the 4th step. We will swap the partition table with a normal table. And then next milestone, we'll drop the other table and we'll be done with webhook logs.
Nice. So that worked really well using the partitioning helpers for webhook logs, didn't it?
Oh my God, it's the part. We will write a blog post at some point. It's amazing that now we have the tooling at a level where we are trusting our tooling to just go and add the migration, add the migration, add the migration. We had to add some new tools to add the foreign keys to partition tables. But with that in place, I think that now we have all the tools. Anyone can partition tables. Just that,
nice.
like that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think to some extent we still need to do a little bit of writing on the documentation, like explaining how to approach it, talking about access patterns, very similar to what we discussed on the sharding call or the working group.
But the good thing is now with after the audit events and now with the 5 MRs for the webhook logs, we have the canonical example because those are simply only one MR where we added the migration helpers. We don't need it. Everything else is by the book how everyone will do it. So there is at least a canonical example if we provide those 5 migrations or 6.
Nice. Is there any plans for webhook logs for the data retention policy? I see we have disabled the worker that wasn't working at all anymore.
Yeah.
So we will have to we'll have to implement the time decay pattern for
that table, right? We asked the group ecosystem to turn off the prune worker. So for everyone, webhook logs is a huge table. It's 1 terabyte of data. We are adding 160 gigabytes of logs every month. It goes so fast. We had a prune worker that was going and deleting all the logs. So we have a retention policy to keep only 90 days of logs. And our worker could not keep up with the rate that the logs were creating. So we were creating something like 2.5, 3 million records per day. And the worker could delete only 1 million. So webhook logs kept on increasing and increasing and increasing in size. And nowadays, because it has reached the point of 1 terabyte, it cannot, not only it cannot keep up, it's also times out. So what we are going to do, we are adding the monthly partitions. And when we are done, next milestone, after we do the swap and we drop the old table, a new prune worker will be added that will go back, and every month we drop an old partition and only keep 90 days in the current month. So yeah, we have discussed that with group ecosystem. That's the point where we will hand off the table to them, back to them, a clean sign a new partition table, and they will implement the worker. Or I don't know, Andreas, maybe we could, yeah, we will have to think about the implementation, but maybe they can help us now that we are pretty much, our hands are tied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be nice. But it's kind of an impactful area, isn't it? Like takes 10% of the total database size is webhook logs, which is like not the best way to use the database size, I think.
This table is so large that now that we partitioned it, some of the partitions 1 month are so large that are at the top of the 15 top largest tables in GitLab.com. So we have this report that we generate every week, the Postgres checkup report, that has also the 15 largest tables. During the past weeks, 2 or 3 of those partitions are in the top 15 tables.
Okay, we need to finish it up. Retention strategy, and then we might even need to think about cutting the partitions smaller in the future.
Yeah.
But we can see about that.
We can repartition. Or yeah, for the new ones, we can go to weekly.
Right. Okay. We talked about database testing in the beginning. Should we jump to the blueprints, John?
Yeah, just a quick question, touch base where we are. Looks like Andreas, you already replied on hold, given other priorities. Yes, I agree. But we cannot wait too long. So hopefully we can ramp up Ali, Alex, Chris, and Heinrich as soon as possible. Let's shoot for like 1 week. In about a week, they can get up to speed for what we have them to help. Then let's resume our focus on the blueprints, because we still need to make progress there. Although the main discussion is around sharding, but the other side we must make progress. It's equally important, because yeah, the sharding group already discussed this morning what else we're doing. Yeah,
totally agreed. For the read mostly blueprint, I think it's in a good state where it basically summarizes what the problem is, how to solve that. But the question is, do we want to go further and sort of propose a new layer, propose how to make that even easier, or is that, you know, what is the scope of the blueprint that we're aiming for? That's something that I need to find out, but right now I just don't have time to pick it up, but we'll do so as soon as possible.
Yeah, thank you. Let's yeah, Dennis.
And for time decay, I have to spend 1 or 2 more days. So I have posted right now. I have some great feedback by Andreas and Gregors, and I want to add the 2 big examples that so webhook logs and the audit events. This is missing there. So there is the theoretical discussion and all the nice comments by Andreas and Gregors that I will incorporate them. And also I want to add those large sections, because those will be the actionable part of the blueprint. Without those, this is just a discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to both of you. So we I don't think we can merge it by the end of the quarter, but hopefully we shoot for the first several weeks of the Q3, Q2 to merge those blueprints. Then we can start to think about building the backlogs to work on that. I think so also for Ali and Alex, so there isn't a shortage of work. I'm asking too much. I know I'm asking too much, but I imagine a majority of this the database team will be also working on these two blueprints. We will pick, likely we're going to pick one of those blueprints to work on to start with, but still, even one blueprint, there will be a lot of work here. This is also under that working group. So a lot of interesting stuff to happen. Cool, thank you. So just touch base where we are about the blueprints. And the next one is actually just a task, PG12 upgrade right now scheduled at May 8th, roughly the same time. I think it starts on 9 a.m. UTC and goes into 10 a.m. UTC. That's the actual starting and ending time. The window probably is going to be 3 hours, 1 hour earlier, 1 hour post. So that window might be a 3 hour window, but the actual upgrade happens in 1 hour. Infrastructure team is asking for 2 BEs. Unfortunately, we have only 2 BEs. So, Andreas and Yannis, sorry about that.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. Yeah, I can do it. Have no problem.
Yeah, and also they also need all the staff plus BEs available or standby. So I'm going to coordinate that and send out another notice to the people, give them a heads up to be prepared. So yeah, that's just a heads up what's coming up.
Yeah, sounds good. Is there, the last time we talked about like support, I wasn't quite sure about the expectations, or if there was any like expectations to be on call for an extended period of time, but it sounds like we were basically looking to have people around during the upgrade. Once we're confident and things are running on Saturday, then
yeah,
should be fine.
I think during that window, the 3 hour window, we'll know more in that issue. But if that's a scheduled like a 3 hour window, like a 1 hour before the actually kick off the job and 1 hour later just to watch, we want to be shadowing there. We want both of you to shadow there in case something happens. And for 2 of you is very specific about the database. I think it's going to be very specific about database. The reason Jerry is asking for other BEs is like something else may happen, like a sidekick or something. So they really want some other BEs to be available to troubleshoot other issues, not database directly related, but more about other components, sidekick and Jerry just mentioned the sidekick, but if we see other things, we want bees to help troubleshooting.
Makes sense.
Cool, thank you. And Yannis, you have the last bullet.
Oh yeah, that's a very small doc update. I have even, I think that it's what I have in the description. Maybe I will take the time to do it, but if anyone wants to pick this, I will greatly appreciate it. It's just for helping self-hosted instances address self-serve and address some minor issues when going through minor versions of GitLab 13. So the sooner the better, because this is the documentation update. It's just it will remove any, if they have similar problems, we have seen some of those problems. If they have similar problems, they will find the solution in the documentation and not on our issues. But okay, we also have solutions in our issues if they search Google.
Is that the right link to the issue? It says, talks about scalability issues for the database architecture.
I think no.
It isn't, right?
No, of course not.
Okay, I'm glad that wasn't the small documentation update.
If somebody wants to take this the blueprint of all the problems we're facing, let me share the correct one. Just a random issue assigned to me. I'm sorry.
Sounds like a trap.
Yeah, that was a sharding. Yeah, I was wondering.
I'm just trying to, I will just add all my issues there. If anyone wants to pick all of them and I can just sit and play games, I have no problem. I'm sorry. Let me, yeah, don't mind this. And this is the canonical. This is the.
Okay.
Yeah, a small one, just somebody to build a blueprint, somebody to analyze all the problems, and we're done. Did I copy paste the correct one?
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Andreas. Thank you, Andreas.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, everyone can contribute. Of course, I don't know nothing. I don't know anything about this at this point. I will know more. I'm sure after this week, I will know more. Okay, that's the last
right.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, we would typically walk the build board. Should we do that today? We can go through that quickly.
Yeah, do the regular process. You are the driver. Yeah.
Okay. Let me share my screen. There we go. So if you haven't seen this before, basically you have two boards. One is the build board. It basically captures all the work that is currently in flight, you can say. And the other one is the triage board, which is all the issues that is in an early state where we're basically looking to explore, like, what is it even an issue that we want to work on? Does it have all the details? And once it's done, we decide to pick it, and we basically move it to the build board. So if you want to see what is currently in flight, basically look at the build board. And this is what we basically start from the back. But I think we talked a lot about this already. Like, this is the webhook logs partitioning that was added with the foreign keys. Is there something you want to add, Yanis?
No. And
Right.
after we discuss those, we remove the database active. I will go and remove everything. So we keep the database active so we can discuss them in our call, and then we remove them.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. The only thing I want to touch on is this one. So I don't know if everybody remembers that we have a database lab instance, and we were running that with a very small instance type for some time, and then realized that we need to upgrade it. Then we upgraded it to what we expected to have in production after the PG12 upgrade. But then during the testing for the PG12 upgrade, we realized that the performance wasn't so great for that instance type. So, and that was noticeable on the database lab instance as well. It was basically burning. So we were restarting the database lab instance using a different type. So it should be in better shape now. There is a couple of things that I think we need to address as a team, is that we typically reach out to Nikolai for this kind of maintenance, or helping us changing things, fixing stuff on the database lab instance. And I would like us to have more insight into the operational side of that as well, because it powers the database testing pipeline, it powers database lab, and everybody like exploring database issues. And we should make that a part of our work, I think, for the database testing, is also being able to operate this instance and control the environment better. But right now, I think the instance type change has had a good impact on the performance of the testing pipeline. So that should be okay. Cool. We have another work stream for the background migrate, or the primary key migrations in flight, which is the metrics for the migrations. So right now we're basically going into the database to figure out the progress of a migration and the various tuning opportunities that we want to have by looking into the database and logs and all that. And there's 2 changes in flight that basically add Prometheus metrics to that, so that we can easily reason about the progress of a migration and also the efficiency. Like, do we use time wisely? Do we need to increase the batch size, for example? And that should all come to Prometheus soon. We will only see that happen if we actually run migrations again, or once we run migrations again on .com. But that's the issue. One issue is this one. We still have the database testing to database maintainers. I'm basically closing that soon. We have rolled it out to database maintainers. I think even more people are using it. That has been used as a feedback issue, so that's why I'm not yet closing it. But we should let's just talk about that on Wednesday, I think tomorrow, when we catch up on the testing pipeline. Talked about read mostly. Then this is I think what Krasimir is working on. Basically the support for the multi-column primary key migrations.
Yeah, the second step.
Exactly, and it's in review already. And this is again Prometheus metrics also in review. Then we have converting multiple columns, which is probably a bit of overlapping with the other issues, isn't it?
I think the one is for, I don't know, yeah. So we had to, yeah, maybe they are overlapping.
Okay, we have the bug, also Krasimir picking that up. I don't know what
this is support for customer issues.
Right. Okay, time decay, we talked about. CI build needs. This is one of the next tables that we would like to tackle. I got feedback from Kamil about the change that we needed to make, and I think we need to make that a bit different before we can merge it. So I hope to get that done tomorrow.
But yeah, a reminder there is whenever we add the new columns, we should be remember to check if those tables are auto backed up or whatever, and those columns affecting something. So it's not like the columns are not hidden, and sometimes in Rails we are going and automatically do something with all the columns of a table. We should remember that sometimes we should hide those columns.
Especially now that we have triggers in the database, which do their thing on the backend basically, and the application doesn't know about it. So that's why it's surprising in this case for the CI application. Okay, and then this is a minor issue. I think it's a follow-up from a review that we had. We would like to make the rollback step for the primary key migration helpers a bit more concise, basically, so that you don't have to repeat yourself all the time. And I might need to push that back or put that back onto the backlog. I had a proposal, but I think we should do it differently. I'll revisit that today. Okay, and then this is something that I can't speak to. The admin panel, I think this falls under the things that we need to do for self-hosted.
Yeah. So the first thing we need to do, one of the things we need to do in order to roll out those migrations to self-hosted, other than making sure that our framework works correctly and can recover from issues and whatever, is to allow self-hosted instances administrators to know that those migrations run. So they have to know. So at the moment, there is an admin panel where they can check all the background migrations that are running. Why is that important? It's important because they have to know that something runs on their system without going inside the database or somewhere to check processes running. And also it's important because one of our main directives when we do no downtime updates or downtime upgrades to major versions is to run all the background migrations before upgrading. So we ask administrators to check that everything has finished. And that means that some migrations may run for a week or whatever in their system. So we have to provide them with a panel where they can see that, oh, you know, I cannot upgrade to 14.0 or I cannot upgrade to 14.2 because there are 2 migrations still running. And those migrations in self-hosted instances, they are not going to run for 16 days because the largest self-hosted instance is an order of magnitude smaller than GitLab.com. But in case they are doing, you know, upgrade, and in no downtime they have to pass through all the minor versions, they are also checking upgrade. Did all the migrations run? Then upgrade, and they are doing it, you know, migration, upgrade, post-deployment migration, wait, migration, upgrade, post-deployment, etc. So yeah, this is one of the things that we need there.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the things that we should, I think, revisit after making sure that we have everything in flight for GitLab.com, basically.
Yeah, but we added, this is a simple, this specific one does not have any options to pause or start or whatever. This is a self-contained issue to pick up at some point that only adds a view on the batch background migrations and batch background migration jobs tables on the admin panel. So it's pretty self-contained.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Okay, and in a similar fashion, this issue is about
prioritize. Yeah, this is the last one that we're going to build. It's ready.
Finalizing.
So,
yeah. Finalizing means basically, yeah, basically swapping the columns in the end, and then only when that is done, we basically benefit from, or we have basically removed the risk of the overflow, because only then we are using integer 8 primary keys, and we stop using integer 4. So that's the very end of the story. Also, something that I wouldn't want to focus on right now, or only when we have the work scheduled for the migrations on .com.
So to add something here on the process, so ready for development should be ordered. So anyone, so it's like our Kanban, our agile board. Anyone can pick things from the top of the list. So for example, now that I said that I'm going to create all those small issues for migrations to run for satellite tables, I'm going to add them on top of those issues, because they will have, this is what we wanted to build first.
That's a good point, yeah. In that sense, I think there is things missing in that column. For example, like the issues that you just mentioned. So perhaps we can make a round on go through those issues and make sure they show up on that column.
Yeah.
Yanis, can we just do that after the meeting if you have time?
Let's stay in the call and continue.
Okay, sounds good. Anything you want to call out on the other issues here? Troubleshooting section.
Those two are the same issue. Those are the one that I ask if anyone can pick it up. I will remove myself so anyone can pick it up.
Okay. Now we have those 2 bugs. I think we have had them for a while already.
So this is the problem and the fortune of being also an operational team. We have some bug reports where we support end users and they have issues, and we try, and they stay around for weeks or maybe sometimes months, and we have those back and forth, and we are working on them, or we are so they stay in the board for maybe a month or 2 months. Like, for example, the one on the indev that Crash has, could not find the function named the table sync function. we have back and forth for more than a month on that one.
We're also often dependent on getting feedback from customers, so
Yeah.
the cycle can be quite long sometimes.
Yeah, or someone can jump in, a new user can jump back and say, oh, I have a similar problem, and then.
Right.
Thank you for the context. Yeah.
Something that I wanted to ask, we have created an issue for an emergency plan for the integer 4 overflow problem. So basically we were thinking about what can we do if we don't manage to get the migrations done in time. I think we've spelled out a couple of ideas. I wanted to ask if we still feel like this is something that we want to discuss at this point. Or if that is something that we can put to the backlog and spend the time on the actual migrations. I was a bit surprised, to be honest, by the speed of the migrations that we were seeing for the ones that we already finished. That was a very good sign, I think. What do you think about the emergency plan discussion?
So sounded like we are moving faster than we expected. Do we have a refresh of the projection, the trend when we are going to hit the wall? Do we have a refresh? Are we still on track? I mean, basically, we're not moving towards an exponential curve, right? We're still far away from there.
We have refreshed that forecast, I think 2 weeks ago, and there is no surprises in that sense. The only takeaway that we were seeing last month was that there was I think it was 20 to 30% increase in the number of jobs that we were running in March compared to the previous month. And that was attributed to abuse mostly. So we think that we are still like on track with what we have forecasted.
Okay, cool. Then I think we can put it on hold a little bit, but maybe not move back to the backlog. Let's just monitor the trend. I think this will just stay here, but we're not going to take immediate actions, but continue to monitor the trend to see if the trend turns out to be not so favorable, then we need to turn this on. So putting it back to the backlog probably will lose visibility.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe this is also something that we can checkpoint on in May, early May, when we have the larger migrations running on the very large tables that we have. We should have a good impression of how fast we can expect them to complete, and then go back to the emergency if we need the emergency plan at all.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, I don't think we need to talk about the other issues, perhaps aside from the PG12 upgrade, but this is something that I think we can wait for a week before the upgrade and then see what the state of things are. So the concern was basically, do we need to pause the migrations that we're running while we do the PG12 upgrade? We had a couple of questions about that, but I would say we wait until maybe a week before the upgrade to discuss that. All right, anything else we should be discussing?
No, last thing is in the doc. So I massaged the organization of the epics. Added one top level epic for all our epics, because we are all of our epics are under the engineering allocation, so we need to track that. So I added one top level epic and wrote everything beneath that. So we have a dashboard to monitor our progress, but that's what I did last night. Nothing changed materially, but it's just reorganizing our epics to show that on the engineering allocation dashboard.
So that means all our epics were basically moving under that one epic as a parent.
Yes, everything is under there. So I just added the link there. Yeah. Also, I applied the engineering allocation label to all the issues. Yeah,
Okay.
that's how it's tracked.
Mhm.
Yeah, nothing changed. Nothing changed. It's just the organization of the epics.
Okay, got it.
Do we keep the label also for issues that Andreas or me are working on?
Yeah, we shall apply that label to. Sorry, is that your question?
Should we apply also the label to the issues that are pure issues for Andreas or issues that I'm working on? Or should we apply the labels for people that are joining the team and helping? And,
Yeah, because we are 100%, our team is 100% the engineering allocation. So everything we work on, issues and MRs, should be labeled by the engineering allocation. And Lily is going to build a dashboard to monitor the issues and MRs under engineering allocation.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good reminder. Everyone, please apply that engineering allocation label to all the issues and MRs we are working on. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Then thanks everybody. Have a great day. And Yanis and I, we probably catch up on the issues, fleshing out that after the call. That's good. Okay. Have a nice one, everybody.
Bye.